Hi, this is Brad from Motionworks Careers. And in today's episode, I want to talk about a blog that I wrote recently titled Starting a New Career in Uncertain Times. And the motivation to write this blog really came from when I started looking in my LinkedIn feed with all of the updates from people. I noticed an interesting trend that there were quite a lot of updates of people starting new jobs. And that was a really good thing to see. And I started going back about 3 months, and there were quite a few people, almost 50 people in general, that had job updates that they had started a new position. And when I started looking through them, I started, some people I found were actually had been promoted within a company, which is also quite good news. But the other ones that I was more interested in were people that were starting at new companies, either in similar positions or different positions. And then I actually reached out directly to them, and many people replied, which was great to see. So for all of those people that did reply, thanks for filling out the survey, and some of them I even spoke to over the phone. So it was really great to speak with them and learn more about, why they started their careers during this time and what their thinking was during this time. Because obviously it takes a lot of courage to, go into the interview process during this stage, because there are so many issues that could stop the process. There have been many cases where companies have started the process, and then a few interviews down the road have stopped it. And that's what I found from a few people that had started these new positions. And that was unfortunate. However, there was one person that stood out that started a new job at a software company that, he got kind of stalled with two companies during the interview process. And then suddenly another company offered him, reached out to him directly, and they got him through the interview process. And the whole thing took about a month and a half. Whereas the other interview processes that stalled were over 2 months or even 3 months. And that really surprised me because, for a couple of reasons. The bad side is that, companies really shouldn't be interviewing people that they know they can't hire. That's a terrible image, maker for a company. If anything, you should be very upfront in the fact that if you are going to start a conversation with a candidate, just say, look, we have no openings right now, we're stalled, and be very upfront. Instead of interviewing people in a process with the assumption that you are going to hire them if they go through the process. I think that is a mistake that many companies are making with that. Whereas others are very clear, they are hiring. There are companies hiring there, and this company in particular, he went through the interview process completely, and it took a short amount of time, which is good. And he also started very quickly. And this was coming from a candidate that actually was I would label as a passive candidate. So he was considering making a career move, but once he was contacted by that company directly, he started to get interest in that. And I think that's really where the market is going, is passive candidates. It's not so much the active candidates. And as I've stated before in some other articles, that we're now moving from a candidate-driven market into a COVID-driven market. And the companies now have the upper hand with hiring, and they can be very selective of who they want to hire. And when, and all of the expectations that they have for those candidates now. And in a way, that's a good thing. But I think also that companies have to realize that they need to start branding themselves to attract those passive candidates now. And that's what I've been saying for quite a long time now. And I think now is the time that companies really need to consider branding themselves. And that's what we're really trying to do at Motionworks Careers is offer candidates a way to see companies a little more transparently. And that's really what we want to do for companies and candidates as well. So I think it's very wise for companies, even if they aren't hiring or they're unsure of when hiring will start. It's very important that companies start the branding process now for those passive candidates, because the risk is that other companies will take them and other companies will hire them. So for companies that are in a hiring freeze right now, or in a holding pattern, what they should be doing is really consider rebranding themselves in terms of what that company offers down the road when in fact they will start hiring. And that's really what I hope companies will get. And at the same time, we want to keep good candidates that are considering a new career warm for those companies. As an industry in general, companies need to keep candidates, passive candidates in particular, interested in working for them. And the only way to do that is through branding. And that's really our main focus. So at Motionworks Careers, on the candidate side, we really want to help understand candidates' situation right now in their current company and help them to select the right companies through broadcasting which companies are hiring and why they're hiring and showing their culture and their stories. So the good thing is that, while the data in the market is pretty dismal, hiring numbers and the number of open positions are actually quite low. There are a lot of companies that are hiring, and that's a good thing. And candidates should be reactive to that. They should be reaching out to companies and starting that conversation. And at the same time, companies should be very clear and very transparent about their hiring process right now. If they are, in fact, on a hiring freeze, then just admit that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We understand that. Everyone understands that this is, uncertain times right now. So that's fine that companies are not hiring. But they shouldn't stop interacting with the market and shouldn't stop branding themselves in the market for when the hiring times pick up. So for anyone interested in reading the article and the data that came out of that article, feel free to check the links on this feed. And if you're a candidate and you are struggling in your career, we're more than happy to chat with you and give you some options and point you in the right direction. And likewise, for companies that might be looking for branding solutions, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to help you start building a branding strategy now. So thanks again for watching. This is Brad from Motionworks and Motionworks Careers. Stay positive and stay productive.